You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious eSports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
From Fontana, California, the Ricmotech Cup Series is about to begin round one of the Season 14 playoff campaign here in 2022. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Auto Club Speedway. Bryce Senesac leads the Ricmotech Extreme Scoring Cup Series playoffs drivers into the Golden State tonight with Michael Thwaites, GT Hawkins, and DJ Weeks in hot pursuit as our season has heated up here in sunny California. Thwaites has the momentum here tonight as he is coming off a great win at Talladega last week and looks to punch his ticket to round two early here at Auto Club Speedway. I'm Dave Regal, and I'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag on Sim Racing Media. And folks, glad to have you all with us tonight as, here in Southern California at Fontana, a big night here in the Ricmotech Cup Series. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than week one of the playoffs aside from championship weekend. As, we get to the point of the season where all of that hard work that you put in between, practicing and your setup, so on and so forth, it all comes down to this. And taking a look right now at our qualifying efforts, John Sterling in that number 3. Now, hold on to your hats for this one, folks. Usually he's in the number 3 GM Goodwrench Ford Mustang. Kind of has that Dale Earnhardt Sr. look to it. Tonight, it's a number 3 SRT Dodge Ford Mustang. So, in case you smell burnt toast, as my normal broadcast partner Tony Trapasso would say, that's because that one really hurts to say. It actually kind of causes a little choke up here in the old throat. But right now, John Sterling finishing his qualifying effort in P3. Speaking of the great Tony Trapasso, he will not be with us tonight here on the air as he is feeling a little under the weather. So keep him in your thoughts as Tony almost never misses a broadcast for anything that he's scheduled for. And unfortunately tonight, his body said, hey, listen, buddy, you gotta slow down. Speaking of slowing down, GT Hawkins just speeding up here as he's coming off of pit road. We're going to take a look right now at our point standings on the season, folks. And as mentioned previously, now this is round one of the playoffs, week one of round one. Of course, the playoffs go 2-2-2, so kind of an open field this week. Then next week we'll be eliminating a few drivers, so on and so forth. But sitting atop the point standings right now, Mr. Bryce Senesac. He's followed by Michael Thwaites, GT Hawkins, DJ Weeks, and David Elliott in the top 5 here in the playoff standings. They're followed by Brandon Shirley, John Sterling, Mike Rominger, Jeremy Clifton, Clifton Cockrell, Alan Hilton, and Greg Carr. Trying to get through Jeremy Clifton and Clifton Cockrell could be kind of confusing, especially if it's Clifton Cockrell and Jeremy Clifton. I'm guaranteeing, folks, that I will surely flub that at some point tonight, as we only have a few cars on track tonight. Should be about 18 when we take the green flag. Again, a big night here for these playoff drivers. So out of those 18 drivers, only 6 of them not going to be playoff eligible, as Senesac is leading the way. Of course, last week, as mentioned, Michael Thwaites took home the checkered flag down there in Alabama. And I'll tell you what, I love me some plate track racing. It is something special when you're at a place like Talladega. And it's even more special when you're here in Southern California, just outside of Los Angeles, or as Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, would say, Los Angeles, as when he was talking about getting the Rams moved out here to Southern California, or relocated out here to Southern California. So in any case, we're at a point now tonight as these drivers are just getting cranked up where the nerves are going to start to become a factor. I don't care how many laps that you've laid down this season. When you're a playoff driver and you know that you only have 2 races to make it to the next round, the temperature is going to be turned up, regardless of any thoughts you may have of this guy's my buddy and this guy's not. If you're getting ready to have your head cut off by elimination, it's kind of every man for himself, every driver for himself. And speaking of every driver for himself, Jeremy Clifton A great qualifying effort here. He sits P1. He laid down a 39.79 second lap out here. That was on his second lap. Taking a look at Adam Capps right now in the 55 Elite Toyota Camry. He's working on getting that first qualifying time down. And we can see now that Capps is coming around. I've got to make a small adjustment here on the old Stream Deck. That'll fix it. As Adam Capps lays down a P15 effort on that first lap. Now here on lap number 2, he should be a little bit better here on speed as he comes out of turn 4, back into the tri-oval. Gets down on that apron to save himself a couple hundredths of a second, and it looks like Capps is going to lay down a 40.29, so still better than his first lap, but unfortunately not going to move him out of P15. GT Hawkins and Clifton Cockrell, the only two drivers not to complete their qualifying tonight so far. As GT Hawkins now out here laying down his second qualifying lap. And folks, if you're just tuning in, I'm Dave Regal here in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth. You're watching the Ricmotech ExtremeScoring.info Cup Series Playoffs Round 1 here on Sim Racing Media. If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you're watching and that you like what you see here as GT Hawkins, the latecomer to qualifying, just launched himself from nothing to P1. So sitting on top of the pole here as Clifton Cockrell, the only driver not to have run qualifying yet tonight here at Fontana, California.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Auto Club Speedway in Southern California. Just about 1 minute left here in our qualifying session, and so far so good tonight for many of these drivers who have basically been really working their tails off all season long. And GT Hawkins currently sitting atop the pole with about 35 seconds left. So glad to see everybody out here tonight on Sim Racing Media. You can check us out at Sim Racing Media 1 on Twitter. Of course, we're also at Sim Racing Media over on Facebook.com. You can check us all out. And, you know, a lot of us, Tuesday nights are very busy. Tuesday night is basically a quintuple header. And it's a big night tonight here on iRacing.com and SimRacingMedia.com over there. You can check out our merch store, of course, where you can get all the cool swag that we have here at Sim Racing Media. And just like that, qualifying is over. We're going to take a look here at your starting lineup. As mentioned, GT Hawkins on the pole tonight in the number 14 Glory Pole Company Toyota Camry. He's followed on the outside of row number 1 by Jeremy Clifton in that patriotic Maestro's Chevrolet Camaro. DJ Weeks going to be starting on the inside of row number 2 with Bryce Senesac, our points leader. on the outside. David Elliott on the inside of row number 3 with Michael Thwaites on his outside. Brandon Shirley and Wes Gant make up row number 4 with Mike Rominger in the number 29 Chevrolet Camaro and Rich Reimuller in Spaceballs the Camaro rounding out the top 10. John Sterling and Mark Hanna make up row number 6 with Alan Hilton and James Byrne in row number 7. Row number 8 made up of Greg Carr and Adam Capps, while Jason Johnson finishes on P17 here in qualifying with Clifton Cockrell starting shotgun on the field. So a busy night tonight here in the ExtremeScoring.info Ricmotech Cup Series. I want to see if we can get a hold of GT Hawkins here, if I may. GT Hawkins, Dave Regal in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother?
Yeah, Dave, how's it going?
Hey, man, listen, you sit atop the pole here tonight in round 1 of the playoffs. I mean, how are you feeling behind the wheel of that Camry?
Well, I'll tell you in 40, 50 laps or so, I think I'll be better out front with clean air. I think that's going to be a big deal tonight. So I was glad to get front row and get some clean air. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
All right, man. Well, listen, I don't want to hold you up too much longer as you're here on the backstretch, but listen, good luck, man, and maybe we'll see you on the other side.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too, and I will get you back down there to GT Motorsports. That is GT Hawkins, driver of the number 14 Glory Pole Company Toyota Camry. He is our pole sitter tonight. And the iRacing.com pace car lights are out as they move into the 3-4 complex. Well, I definitely can feel myself missing Mr. Tony Trapasso tonight, but Tony, I miss you, buddy. I love you. I can't do this near as good as you do. Right now, the iRacing pace car dives down pit road. Ladies and gentlemen, call a friend, grab some popcorn, and settle in because we are green flag racing in the Ricmotech Cup Series playoffs. Dennis Weeks and Jeremy Clifton side by side behind GT Hawkins, who had a great start to this piece as he brings the field down the back stretch. Now the 09 of Bryce Senesac getting involved in the action here on the high side of DJ Weeks in that Cancer Awareness Chevrolet Camaro. Looks like Senesac trying to make a move here on Jeremy Clifton as Clifton drops down to the low side, allowing Senesac to draft up behind GT Hawkins atop this pile. He is still side by side now with Jeremy Clifton as Clifton and Senesac side by side. We're going to go back here and take a look at Mike Rominger in the number 29 machine. He's got that Chevrolet kind of pinned in back here behind John Sterling and Rich Reimuller, as that is not exactly a place I would want to be. Meanwhile, Michael Thwaites in that Space Force Chevrolet Camaro, working the low side now of Mike Rominger in the number 29 Chevrolet Camaro. We can see the Space Force machine now coming through the tri-oval here on lap number 3 as we get those laps to show up here. There we go, on your top timing line. Folks, keep in mind that the scheduled distance tonight is 115 laps, and at 40 seconds apiece, these are going to be some quick laps. We're going to see a lot going on tonight. And this race being in progress, you can check out all of the stats over on xmsracing.com/cup-series. That's xmsracing.com. Of course, they use the cutting-edge ExtremeScoring.info technology to do all of their points tracking, all of their league management. You can check them out. Listen, I know that a lot of us use or are part of a league that uses another form of scoring, and I don't want to drag anybody's name through the mud, blatantly. However, if you check out the ExtremeScoring.info website, it is just cutting-edge technology. It's so easy. The user interface is great. And, any problems that you have, there's a live person to talk to and get that taken care of. So check out extremescoring.info, and for all of the exciting action here, to keep track of everything all season long as we are now in the 2022 Season 14 playoffs, you can check out xmsracing.com/Cup Series. And right now here in the Cup Series race at Auto Club Speedway, GT Hawkins has now opened up a quarter second of a lead over Bryce Senesac. Senesac and Clifton are still going at it, hammer and tongs back here on lap 5. And I don't see a whole lot of gap here. This is one big pack rolling down the backstretch. GT Hawkins takes the low side there, as now side by side is John Sterling and Bryce Senesac. Sterling now working the low side. You know, this track not very high banked here at Fontana. Of course, I keep saying Fontana. That's kind of what we used to call this, but of course now it's known as Auto Club Speedway. It's going to be getting a new look here. Whoa, as we have a little do-si-do action from DJ Weeks here just to the low side now of the 3-car driven by John Sterling. John Sterling now diving below Bryce Senesac in the tri-oval, so it looks like he's trying to get positions early here, as Senesac has been riding that high side without too much variation here, as we still see him holding that middle line, that middle groove, as you know, we definitely don't have that top groove in at all yet tonight. A very clean racetrack here in California. Taking a look back further in the field, running in 9th position is James Byrne in the number 77 Under Armour Chevrolet Camaro. Ooh, a little rub of the wall there, as he's kind of in it's a little bit of a Wrangler look. Of course, we can see Dale Earnhardt Sr. there celebrating that Daytona 500 win on that left side. And, of course, also a little bit of a Hellman's look, too, as a tip of the cap to Dale Earnhardt Jr. So, obviously, a lot of Earnhardt fans in this league, as John Sterling trying to run that iconic number 3 font with that gray and black paint scheme. However, it's a Dodge SRT paint scheme over top of a Ford Mustang. So that can get confusing. Not too many Fords in the field tonight. In fact, there are just 2 blue ovals out here tonight on track and just 4 Toyota Camrys. Everybody else has that Chevy bow tie. And I guess if you're going to go out here and run these laps, you might as well have everything that everybody else does in this Chevy bow tie. A little bit of action here with the 29 of Mike Rominger, as we are on lap number 10 of 115 at Auto Club Speedway. Taking a look now at Rich Reimuller in the number 92 Spaceballs, the Camaro paint scheme. I'll tell you what, you know, Tony and I, we kind of took to looking for different things on the paint scheme of this machine. And tonight it looks like it's been kind of scrubbed clean a little bit here, as of course they have the Perrier or Perrier, as you were looking at that deck lid. We brake for nobody on that rear panel there just beneath the spoiler. It's just a cool looking paint scheme. A real tip of the cap to the great Mel Brooks, and just every film that Mr. Brooks ever did. Now as we look back up here toward the front, basically folks, we are all just about single file now, as now it appears Sterling wants to stay on the high side where Senesac just was. And the only side-by-side action at the moment, true side-by-side action at the moment, is James Byrne and Wes Gant in that Valvoline Chevrolet Camaro. And as they go side by side into turn one, they're not out there battling for playoff rights right now. They are just out here beating the bejesus out of one another as we get deeper into the night. Greg Carr just sneaking into that 12th place in your playoffs. Oh, a bite of the wall. Further back, I believe that was somewhere in and around Clifton Cockrell, or just in front of him, maybe Mark Hurricane Hanna. There it is. Mark Hurricane Hanna there in the number 45 Napa Auto Parts Toyota Camry, as we are on lap number 12 of 115 here in the Ricmotech ExtremeScoring.info Cup Series. Taking a look now at David Elliott in the 42 machine. We see him working the low side of Rich Reimuller. Now the 29 and Reimuller are side by side. As we can see here, that's Mike Rominger. He wants the low side now of Reimuller. Reimuller going to stay on the high side. You know, quite frankly, you go down too low on some of these lower bank tracks, that thing turns into a cheese grater. And this old surface here at Auto Club Speedway is just that. It's like running it's like running 80 grit sandpaper over a tire, and it just can't be good. As we take a look here at Bryce Senesac, the Fort Wayne, Indiana native, on the low side now of John Sterling. He secures P3 away for the time being at this 1.5-mile speedway here in Southern California. Jeremy Clifton now still riding in P2. He and GT Hawkins have not really moved positions at all tonight so far, as GT Hawkins qualifies on the pole. And we take a look at Jeremy Clifton here, running about 4/10, almost a half second behind GT Hawkins here in the early goings of this race, 15 laps in. We take a look back further in the field. John Sterling and Bryce Senesac cannot get away from one another tonight. Sterling drifting up ever so close to Senesac at this point, almost like he was trying to take some room away from him. Meanwhile, Reimuller on the low side now of Mike Rominger, as Reimuller, not a playoff driver, a couple of wins this season, but he didn't qualify for the playoffs based on how many starts he had this season. But it looks like he's still going to try to go for checkers tonight and be a little bit of a spoiler. And you know what? I don't blame him. That man right there, he belongs in the playoffs at any other time. It's just a real shame that he didn't make it in. You know, league rules clearly state you have to make X amount of races in order to qualify for the playoffs, and unfortunately Reimuller didn't. But if I was him, I'd have that loud pedal all the way to the floor, even as I'm working the low side now of Mike Rominger, trying to get this pass secured and set my sights there on John Sterling. Quite a net of cars back here, as Wes Gant and the 25 of Greg Carr going at it hot and heavy right now. The battle for 10th starting to really heat up, as just behind them we have a battle for 12th as well. And it looks like James Byrne trying to get as much momentum out of the rear there of Greg Carr, but unfortunately Carr just slow enough to take that away from Byrne. Watching this battle for 11th right now, as Wes Gant trying to hold off the 25 of Greg Carr. Quite a big distance back there as we get to Brandon Shirley, Adam Capps, Mark Hurricane, Hannah, Clifton Cockrell, and Jason Johnson here at the rear of the field. Nobody a lap down yet, but just a big gap there as there's nearly, when we look here at it, 2 seconds between Hannah and Capps and almost 2 seconds between Shirley and Burns. So this front group of 13 drivers, they're going to be going at it all night long. And folks, if you are just tuning in on YouTube.com, I'm Dave Regal. You're watching the Ricmotech ExtremeScoring.info Cup Series live here in Fontana, California at Auto Club Speedway. Looks like Bryce Senesac side by side yet again with John Sterling. These two drivers have not taken a break from one another all night. Meanwhile, Rich Reimuller just behind them. He's doing his best to draft up, but unfortunately, it's almost like Sterling has, little bit of contact maybe there coming out of turn 4. It's almost like Sterling knows exactly where to put that car to keep Reimuller just that far away, as now Reimuller doing his best to catch back up after that little bit of contact. Meanwhile, now Mike Rominger in here as we are just about 3 wide. All of a sudden, Michael Thwaites must have hit that push to pass button. And just like that, Michael Thwaites back up into 6th position. He brushes the 97 back. No contact, but just enough to make DJ Weeks check himself a little bit here. Speaking of checking, hockey season getting ready to come back to your TV screens and, of course, your ESPN feeds, whatnot, and so on. Right now, the New York Islanders and Philadelphia Flyers going at it here in preseason action with 12:12 left here, actually. Stand by, folks. I may be a little bit premature in what I just read off there. As nope, that is still a preseason game there. Left in the 3rd period now with 12 minutes left. The Islanders and Flyers tied up at 2. Meanwhile, I got to announce it live last night on the Independence Racing Network that the Philadelphia Phillies have punched their ticket to the postseason for the first time since 2011 after 6 2/3 perfect innings from Aaron Nola. And, of course, Kyle Schwarber hits a couple of bombs there, keeps the Phillies' hopes alive as they steam right into the 2022 postseason in Major League Baseball. Like I said, first trip to the postseason since 2011 for the Philadelphia Phillies. So, of course, that's near and dear to my heart. The world of sports very busy this week as everything's set right now for Major League Baseball's postseason. The only thing left to do is a little bit of seeding, but otherwise everything settled and ready to rock and roll. The Flyers just score a goal here in the 3rd period with 11 minutes and 7 seconds left, and that puts them ahead of the New York Islanders 3-2. Meanwhile, here in Fontana, California, we are all but 3 wide as DJ Weeks shoots underneath John Sterling. That just makes Sterling check up and get into line here behind Michael Thwaites as DJ Weeks now the low side of Sterling. And as you see these drivers come down, everybody with that lime green front splitter and the window banner there on their cars, that denotes that they are a playoff driver here in season 14 of 2022. And of course, you know, they put a lot of work in for this all season long. Speaking of a lot of work, GT Hawkins has really opened up quite a gap right now on Jeremy Clifton, as Jeremy Clifton now 1.82 seconds back, and then Bryce Senesac and Mike Rominger 2.2 seconds behind Clifton. So quite a night here as far as Clifton and Hawkins are concerned. Of course, with 25 of 115 laps in, they've got a ways to go yet, but just about a quarter of the way through this piece in Southern California. And right now, we are going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal. You are watching the Ricmotech ExtremeScoring.info Cup Series.
Are you struggling to keep up with the top drivers? Are you ready to get faster and more consistent? If so, it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. With the VRS competitive subscription, you'll have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything you need to analyze your driving and see exactly where you're losing time. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off your lap times. When it comes to your equipment holding you back, the powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the best drivers in the world, including Jordan Caruso, Tim Ryan, Jordi Lopez, and Oscar Piastri. It's no secret that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also the best value for money. So if you're looking to upgrade your wheelbase to direct drive and want highly adjustable, ultra-realistic pedals, VRS is your answer. You can get better, faster, and more consistent in less time and for less money. You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. Just go to the URL or the button below and learn why the best use VRS. To win in sim racing, you have to know when to send it. So pay attention. This means it's time for everyone to send it. This flag means someone sent it too hard and
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious eSports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway in Fontella, California. You're watching the Ricmotech ExtremeScoring.info Cup Series. I'm Dave Riegel. This is Sim Racing Media live on YouTube.com. You're watching some of the best racing you're going to see all season long here on the iRacing.com servers. Mike Rominger, Rich Reimuller, and Jason Johnson all down pit road. Your race leaders, GT Hawkins and Jeremy Clifton, finally deciding to come down here on lap number 34 of 115. This is week one, round one of the season 14 playoffs, and so far things have gotten pretty out of hand for GT Hawkins and Jeremy Clifton as they had more than a 1-second lead over the rest of the field. Bryce Senesac, Michael Thwaites, James Byrne, and Greg Carr all staying out right now, as this should get Senesac his bonus point now for leading a lap or 1 lap or more, as the point structure usually goes. Speaking of points, you can check out xmsracing.com over here online, xmsracing.com/Cup Series. The extremescoring.info technology is just incredible. The way that you're able to manage your league and everything else along with it, just a great innovation as far as keeping track of your iRacing scoring for your league. Senesac, Thwaites, Byrne, and Carr now come down. That will cycle GT Hawkins back to the league now. Back to the lead now, as Senesac coming in for 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast here on lap number 36. Those will be the last 4 drivers now to come in, as it looks like Thwaites, Senesac, everybody getting ready to roll out now, as they're going to have to get back up to speed. That currently has DJ Weeks cycled here in P2, as he is chasing down GT Hawkins, but GT Hawkins has a 2.66 second lead over Weeks, and, you know, Hawkins, that 2.66 seconds, that's going to stand for quite a while, as he just came in on lap 34. Weeks came in on lap 32, and at this stage in the race, I mean, GT Hawkins is pretty much just going to be out here logging laps. If we take a look further back in the field, we'll see what iRacing has determined is exciting. And we've got quite a battle going on back here with Rich Reimuller and the 12 car of Michael Thwaites. Michael Thwaites, of course, your Talladega Super Speedway winner last week, as he punched his ticket into the playoffs here in the Ricmotech Cup Series. He still trails Rich Reimuller in the number 92 Spaceballs, the Camaro. As as you can see, Reimuller, even with a pair of wins on the season, did not qualify for the playoffs, but he says he'll be back next year, or next season, so of course that means we're going to see him more than likely in the playoffs, as he is out here in this fixed setup, just dominating yet again, as he is up 3 positions from where he had started, and he is just in the heat of battle. Right now, your biggest mover is Alan Hilton in the number 8 Maestro Chevrolet Camaro. We can check him out here. Of course, Alan Hilton, a playoff driver in the Ricmotech Cup Series, as he gets all wound up going into turn 1 and 2. He works to the inside of John Sterling. We see Sterling in that number 3 SRT Ford Mustang. Quite a selection of paint schemes for Sterling this season, usually out here in the GM Goodwrench Ford Mustang, and now that Goodwrench Ford Mustang repainted to be a Dodge SRT Ford Mustang, which is even more confusing for those of us trying to keep track of things up here in the broadcast booth. I'm Dave Riegel. My normal broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, feeling under the weather tonight. So, Tony, our thoughts and prayers are with you. I miss you, buddy, and can't wait till you can get better, as, of course, tomorrow night, he and I will be over in the Thunderclap series here on Sim Racing Media. There's a lot going on Sim Racing Media tonight. We'll check that out in just a few moments. As, you know, every night of the week, we have something going on SRM. Alan Hilton now up 7 positions, running in P6 at the moment here in the Maestro Chevrolet. He's chasing down John Sterling, who's riding that high line, maybe trying to work something in there and get that third lane opened up some, as not a whole lot of grip up there with just 41 of 115 laps complete tonight at Auto Club Speedway. Pretty much everybody single file. And we take a look here at the Auto Club Speedway stats. This is one of those racetracks where, it's undergone a few changes over the years, and it has a few different layouts that they use here. Looks like about 4 configurations that's usually used. There's the regular Speedway oval, which of course you see here tonight. The sports car course that cuts out turns 3, all of turn 3, most of turn 4, and about half of the backstretch. Then the motorcycle course completely eliminates turn 2 through 4 and cuts in through there. And then, of course, the interior test circuit, which is just a road course in the middle of the oval. So, of course, the oval, the big part of the track here, that, of course, those of us that like to watch NASCAR, this is what we're familiar with or most familiar with. And, of course, undergoing a little bit of a change. And, here's the thing. In March of 2014, Las Vegas-based company Exotics Racing had expanded to California and opened up the 1.2-mile road course in the middle. So, we're going to see a lot more of that in the NASCAR family of racing as we move forward. But our lap records in NASCAR Cup Series right now is held by Kyle Larson, who ran a 38.760. Tonight's fastest time in race trim is a 39.9. So, 39.93 is our fastest in race trim. So, still a lot of distance to go before you get to that Kyle Larson number of 38.76. The NASCAR West Series is the qualifying time is held at 39.649, so still faster than what we're running here tonight. Of course, the Truck Series is a 40.2. The Xfinity Series is a 40.2 also. The iRock Series, remember the iRock Series? What a cool concept, and the SRX Series kind of brought that back to some degree. Basically, the iRock Series, for folks that don't know out there, all of the cars were exactly the same. Even with the SRX Series now and what Ray Everham and Tony Stewart were able to put together, you can't even tell the manufacturer for that. But the iRock Series was everybody's got the same everything. You won't be changing anything. And it was basically the real-life equivalent to running a fixed setup race here on iRacing.com. And what I mean by a fixed setup race is everybody's chassis, everybody's air pressure, everybody's everything is exactly the same except for a few creature comforts there in the cockpit, which basically boiled down to steering ratio, offset, and your brake bias. DJ Weeks now with a 2.65 second lead over John Sterling. So right now, P2 pretty well handled. GT Hawkins with a 4-second lead over Weeks here on lap number 46 of 115. Right now, the only driver a lap down, Adam Capps, who's down just about 20 laps. So obviously not a good night for him as he has put it on the hauler early, not trying to gain any time or position. As we run through the field, we take a look at the great DJ Weeks, your race leader, the Columbus, Ohio native here in the number 14 Glory Pole Company Toyota Camry. He's followed by DJ Weeks in the number 97 machine from Chesapeake, Virginia. As we try to get, there we go, a little bit better focus here. John Sterling from Sterling, Virginia in the number 3 machine, followed by Jeremy Clifton and Alan Hilton from Mocksville, North Carolina. Rich Reimuller from Lynbrook, New York, drives Spaceballs, the Camaro, saying, "I'm sorry, sir, I'm doing my best." As, we can talk about that maybe next week when Tony's back here in the booth. Michael Thwaites from Baltimore, Maryland, the 32-year-old driving the number 12 Space Force Chevrolet Camaro, running in 8th position right now. Wes Gant, I'll tell you what, Wes has got himself cranked up tonight. He's only down 1 spot, but he's out here hunting in the number 11 Chevrolet Camaro. Brandon Shirley rounds out the top 10 from Charlotte in his number 85 Blue Oval Ford, one of only 2 Blue Ovals out here on track tonight. Greg Carr running in 11th right now from Queen Creek in his Chevrolet Camaro. Mike Rominger in the number 29 Chevrolet Camaro in 12th. David Elliott, driving the number 42. He is 42 from Blacksburg, Virginia, out here running 13th position. Mark Hurricane Hanna from Newport, Tennessee, in the number 45 Toyota Camry, sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. He's got the Napa know-how as he is getting around this piece in 14th position tonight. Clifton Cockrell in 15th from San Antonio, Texas. James Byrne in the number 77 Under Armour Chevrolet Camaro, and Jason Johnson rounding out the field right now in his number 24 Toyota Camry. So a lot of drivers out here still on track tonight. Everybody who's running right now is on the lead lap. So the first one that's getting dangerously close here is Jason Johnson, as he is just barely being held off or holding off GT Hawkins, and GT right now has him in his sights as we come into turn one. And I got to believe, folks, that as we get closer and closer to the next pit strategy, or to the next pit stop, I'm sorry, forgive me. As we get closer to our next pit stop, we're going to see GT Hawkins gain even more space between he and the rest of this field. Side by side go Reimuller and Gant, as Gant slides in front of, oh, they make a little bit of contact coming out of 4. Gant just barely clips the very front of the nose of Reimuller. Taking a look at Brandon Shirley in the number 85 Ford Mustang. He's all alone out here with about 2.4 seconds to Reimuller and about 1.5 back to Greg Carr. GT Hawkins now gets past Jason Johnson. Jason Johnson now first car a lap down, about 13 seconds the distance from James Byrne to GT Hawkins, or from, at this point, GT Hawkins to James Byrne, as James Byrne even now running a 41.75, GT Hawkins a 41.45 his last lap. So we're going to start to see some of these lap times fall off ever so slightly here for many of these drivers as they get deeper in on this fuel run, as we have just about 20 laps on these tires and on these tanks of fuel here at Auto Club. And folks, welcome in. Glad to have you with us. I'm Dave Regal. You're watching Sim Racing Media. This is the Ricmotech Extreme Scoring.info Cup Series, round one of the playoffs here in Season 14 in 2022. Right now, GT Hawkins, your race leader, DJ Weeks running in P2. John Sterling in the number 3 car running in 3rd. Alan Hilton in 4th. And Jeremy Clifton rounding out your top 5. Getting a little dicey once again is John Sterling, as he's being chased down by Alan Hilton. Hilton behind him by just about 0.3 of a second now as they go back into the turn here. And as they roll out there from the Bienvenidos into turn 4 and come back to the front stretch, it looks like Hilton still going to be behind Sterling. But right now, Jeremy Clifton working the high side of Alan Hilton in that Maestro Chevrolet. He's going to be bringing along your points leader, Bryce Senesac, running in 6th position right now. Senesac not usually buried like this at any given race, but tonight he doesn't seem to be having his best night, as Senesac now down 2 positions from where he had qualified. Sterling and Hilton, your 2 biggest movers of the night, as you can see the violent bouncing down the back stretch here at Auto Club, as that has to be just about teeth-chattering vibrations coming into turns 3 and 4. Michael Thwaites pushing Bryce Senesac here through the tri-oval across the start-finish line and now into turn one, as Senesac now with a great run as he is pushed along by Michael Thwaites. These playoff drivers trying to claw around one another as they come out of turn two. The only driver not single file, as he does fall in single file, is Alan Hilton in this little group here from Sterling back to himself. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 all together here. As your next little grouping is Rich Reimuller, who's still back here battling Wes Gant, and just behind them, that's where we have Brandon Shirley all by his lonesome. Greg Carr also running alone, Mike Rominger. Everything kind of falls apart once you get further back here. Meanwhile, it looks like Rominger thinking he's going to come in early. Let's see if he had a problem. And we're going to see Mike Rominger getting ready to come into pit road. Not sure. It looks like he smoked a tire coming down to pit road. But no obvious damage on the number 29. Wow, as he really locks up the wheels coming onto pit road. A little bit of crinkling there on the right side of the number 29 Chevrolet Camaro. Not real sure what's going on with him, but we'll have to take a watch here, as it looks like he is getting damage repaired, is Mike Rominger. That still leaves GT Hawkins and DJ Weeks up here. GT Hawkins now with a 9-second gap over himself and DJ Weeks. 9 seconds, folks. Senesac, in the meantime, is back here with his torch and pitchfork out, trying to get around John Sterling yet again. I imagine that that's getting awful frustrating for him, as we are now past the halfway point in this piece. Lap number 60 now of 115.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious eSports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Welcome back to Fontana, California at Auto Club Speedway. You're watching the Ricmotech Extreme Scoring.info Cup Series. I'm Dave Regal here in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth. You're watching us live on YouTube.com. Glad to have everybody in with us tonight. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, turn on those bell notifications, give us a thumbs up, and get into that live chat. Let us know who you're pulling for tonight as GT Hawkins, the Columbus, Ohio native, has a commanding lead of this race with 10.86 seconds between himself and Bryce Senesac. Of course, Senesac, currently your points leader. Several drivers now going down laps as pit cycles underway yet again here. Right now, DJ Weeks getting ready to come down for his pit service. As right now, just 10 cars on the lead lap. GT Hawkins has not been down since lap number 34, so he's definitely getting close here. We've got to see him come down soon, as well as Bryce Senesac. And we see Senesac here still trying to hold off Michael Thwaites, your Talladega winner last week. John Sterling in the 3 car, Jeremy Clifton running in 5th. And then there's a little bit of an extra large size gap between Clifton and Hilton. GT Hawkins still leading this race. Right now, your biggest movers in the race are both John Sterling and Alan Hilton. Both of those drivers up 7 positions. Sterling, only 3 more spots to go here before he can lead this race and be up 10, as it looks like the 29. And he just disappeared off my timing and scoring. There he is, of Mike Rominger. Still trying to claw himself around, as he is now down 3 laps tonight. Something he's probably not very happy about, but that's, at the same time, he's still out here, he's still competing, and he's still trying to get it done. John Sterling getting ready to come down pit road as he brings along with him, looks like the 8 car of Alan Hilton. As it looks like Mark Hurricane Hanna should also be getting ready to come down pit road. We see him cooling down. Maybe he'll have a little bit better luck than some of the other drivers that I see not sliding his tires, as he does bring it down nice and smooth. You got to believe, though, after more than 30 laps on these tires, he's going to come down and get 4 new shoes here at Fontana, California at Auto Club Speedway. Bryce Senesac, now your race leader here in the 0909 Primetime Chevrolet Camaro. He leads Michael Thwaites right now by 4.8 seconds, nearly 5, and we crest 5 as Thwaites must be slowing down to get ready for pit road. I can't imagine how else you would suddenly go to that kind of a distance unless Thwaites had a bobble here. And Senesac is down pit road. That'll cycle Rich Reimuller up to the lead as he came down on lap number 60. He and Brandon Shirley both in on lap 60 along with Clifton Cockrell. So maybe they know something we don't. Right now, Rich Reimuller trying to hold off GT Hawkins. Usually Reimuller, a very skilled driver. It looks like he just doesn't have enough to hold off Hawkins. Of course, Hawkins, a playoff driver. So maybe Reimuller trying to be a little respectful here as we are on lap number 71 of 115 at Auto Club Speedway. Taking a look now at Michael Thwaites, who comes back up onto the racing surface. Looks like everybody has cycled through with the exception of Mike Rominger, who was last down on lap number 57. So everybody except for Adam Capps now being down for pit service. Joshua Hyatt, glad to have you in with us tonight. Looks like he is cheering on. Looks like he is cheering on Greg Carr and Team TBR. The Fox Racing Series Network says hi. Hey, Fox Racing Series. Glad to have you with us tonight. Glad to have all of you with us tonight watching on YouTube.com. I'm Dave Regal. I'm missing my my partner in crime tonight, Tony Trapasso, as he's feeling a little under the weather. So our thoughts are with him as he tries to get better. Of course, tomorrow night he and I will be hosting the Thunderclap iRacing Stock Car Series here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, listen, some of the greatest racing that you're going to see on the iRacing.com service happens right here on Sim Racing Media. I mean, for starters, here we are in the Ricmotech Cup Series. You know, the Ricmotech ExtremeScoring.info Cup Series has their act together. I know that there's a lot of leagues out here on iRacing.com that sometimes there's a little bit of drama. Sometimes there's, you know, stuff that you just don't need when you're trying to have a good time and just race. And the Ricmotech Cup Series, one of those leagues that, you know, you don't hear a whole lot about drama. You don't hear a lot about infighting. These guys are here to race. They are here to practice their craft, to make themselves better, and to make one another better, as this is not a one-man show by any stretch of the term. Speaking of one man, we see the one car of Jeremy Clifton coming across the start-finish line on lap number 74. And, you know, Sim Racing Media, like I said, is broadcasting a lot of these great leagues, such as the Ricmotech Cup Series. Also tonight at 10:15 on the West Coast, you can go hang out with Mike DeMoney after we finish here in a little while. He goes live in about 15 minutes on the Western States Racing League, season number 47. These drivers have been around in the Western States Racing League together for 23 years. They run 2 seasons a year, so you know, you figure season 47 or season 46 just completed. And some of the other leagues that we see, of course, tomorrow night, the Thunderclap iRacing Stock Car Series. You can check that out here on YouTube.com. There's quite an interesting and somewhat powerful name in the NASCAR community that runs in that league. Of course, one of the interesting parts about the Thunderclap Series is that those drivers, you know, some guys might form a fantasy football league, some drivers might have a bowling league or a beer league softball team. These guys created an iRacing league. A lot of them work in real life NASCAR, and they get together once a week and they have a great race. They race all 3 levels of NASCAR vehicles. So, you know, you have the A-Class Cup cars, you have the B-Class Xfinity Series, and the C-Class trucks. And the cars change, the tracks change, and it's just a really great run for everybody all season long. So feel free to check that out tomorrow night here on YouTube.com. Of course, also on Sunday afternoons, we have the ISNF Series. Sunday evenings in prime time, baby, prime time. The Davis Brothers Roofing Cup Series live at 8:30 p.m. on a Sunday night. So a lot going on. I mean, and those are just the ones that I'm associated with or know about or have been associated with. So, you know, make sure that you're tuning in here to Sim Racing Media on iRacing.com. Oh, we see John Sterling sliding out from in front of Alan Hilton, and now he goes to the high side. For lack of a better term, not a lot of close racing tonight as drivers have gotten real spread out tonight. GT Hawkins has a 7-second lead over Dennis Weeks. Dennis Weeks trying to hold off Rich Reimuller here for P2. These drivers, one of the closest and one of the few battles side by side tonight, just broke itself up to now 0.3 of a second between those two drivers. John Sterling running in 4th position, Alan Hilton in 5th, Brandon Shirley in 6th, Bryce Senesac here in the 0909 Primetime Chevrolet running in 8th, Greg Carr in 9th, and Wes Gant in 11th. Greg Carr right now, he's out here getting it done, or getting her done, as one would say if Larry the Cable Guy was nearby. I mean, Greg Carr up 6 positions. He's a playoff driver. We can tell that, of course, by that front splitter, bright yellow color, that window banner, and, of course, the spoiler also painted with that bright yellow, that slime green, as we call it in the fire department, color. That way it sticks out, it pops at you, and you know that somebody important is in front or behind you. And, of course, when you see these kind of drivers, you know, with the playoff paint scheme, so on and so forth, in your rearview mirror, and you're already a lap down or you're about to be put a lap down, folks, it's just that easy. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. As the late John Panette would have said, get out of the way. Get out of the line. And, you know, it just shows the kind of respect that these playoff drivers command. And we can see who's a playoff driver as we move through these top spots. The highest racing non-playoff driver right now is Rich Reimuller in 3rd. Everybody else has those bright yellow bumper and spoiler. But just 2 drivers here in your top 10 that are not playoff drivers, and that, of course, is Reimuller and Wes Gant.
Extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious eSports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway. GT Hawkins, your race leader, last coming down to pit on lap number 68, as we are now on lap number 87. John Sterling running in P2, Alan Hilton in P3, Dennis Weeks, DJ running in 4th, and Rich Reimuller rounding out your top 5. It has been a busy night so far. We're going to wind the clock just a little bit here as we get to see GT Hawkins. I'm sorry. Bear with me here, folks. As I do want to pull up when John Sterling got around here the 97 of DJ Weeks. I mean, just an all-around great effort from John. I mean, you know, John Sterling has been very patient all night long, and it's starting to pay off here in the Ricmotech Cup Series as we can see him chasing down DJ Weeks, who was running in P2 for quite a long time. Not sure if those tires starting to fall off or not for DJ, but John able to get around him with relative ease, as we see so often here, and he swings up right in front of DJ and gets it done once again. And coming in for the money stop, going to be Rich Reimuller in the number 92 Chevrolet, as we are on lap number 89 of 115. So just about 27 laps to go now. Things starting to heat up. Maybe Reimuller knows something that we don't. Maybe he thinks by virtue of coming in early, once GT Hawkins comes down, he can cycle himself all the way up into the lead with you know, basically no real challenge. And Reimuller is away coming down pit road. And folks, as we get ready for these last series of green flag pit stops, we're going to step aside and let you folks turn it up and listen to the sounds of the Ricmotech Cup Series. And GT Hawkins, your race leader, is now in on pit road. This will be his money stop. Ladies and gentlemen, glad to have you with us here. I'm Dave Regal in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth. You're watching the Ricmotech ExtremeScoring.info Cup Series, Round 1, Race 1 of the 2022 Season 14 playoffs. GT Hawkins, your race leader, now coming in for pit service. That cycles DJ Weeks up here to the lead in the number 97 machine. He's still chasing down John Sterling, who he's about to put a lap down, as Sterling was just out or down on pit road. Now Hawkins getting wound back up to come on track. Meanwhile, James Byrne in the 77 comes down pit road. DJ Weeks is also down. That's going to cycle GT Hawkins back to the top of the pile with absolutely no problems whatsoever as he comes off of pit road. Just a perfect night for him, as we are now 20 to go at Auto Club Speedway. Alan Hilton working the low side of the 09 of Bryce Senesac, that primetime Chevrolet Camaro, all kinds of wound up, as we say. And he's still holding this middle lane. I'm not sure if he's getting a better run or if it's, maybe saving tires. I guess we'll find out if he makes it there to the podium, as Senesac is your points leader. We'll take a look here at your points, just in case you were curious or didn't catch it at the beginning of tonight's broadcast. In just a moment, as, my goodness, everything's got to refresh all of a sudden. There we go. Bryce Senesac sits atop your point standings with GT Hawkins in close pursuit here. Just a few points behind. Michael Thwaites, David Elliott, Jeremy Clifton rounding out the top 5. But the rest of these playoff drivers, DJ Weeks, Brandon Shirley, Mike Rominger, John Sterling, Clifton Cockrell, Alan Hilton, and Greg Carr, all 12 of those drivers making the playoffs tonight. We aren't going to be cutting heads this week, but next week we absolutely will be. And next week, things are going to change, I'm going to say, not completely drastically, but we will be at a short track down there in Richmond, Virginia. Of course, down there in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Richmond, quite a historic track. Short track racing, of course, always something exciting to see in NASCAR. As you don't get a whole lot of green flag runs like this, even with 17 to go. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to be up here and see all of these green flag pit stops, all of the pit strategies changing as we get deeper and deeper. And speaking of deeper and deeper, John Sterling here now up 6 positions, but so far, biggest mover of the night is Mr. Rich Reimuller in Spaceballs the Camaro, as although he's running P2 to GT Hawkins, he is out here in a nice, comfortable area where he can just be logging laps, getting it done, making sure that he keeps it between the lines and on the lane. As he is up, like I said, up 8 positions now. That's the biggest move of the night, chased down by John Sterling, as John Sterling now gets passed by Bryce Senesac here as they are side by side. Senesac dives down and makes it 3 wide with the 85. Senesac trying to get as much as he can, as he now leads the 85 of Brandon Shirley and the 8 Maestro's car of Mr. Alan Hilton. So that puts Senesac into 4th now, as he's getting ready to chase down John Sterling, and Sterling doesn't even know what's coming. Senesac battling Senesac battling Hilton side by side going into turns 1 and 2. This is one of the closest races of the night so far. Senesac now trying to run that low side, even though the high side was definitely his money lane earlier. 14 to go now, as we're on lap 101 now across that century mark. $13 to go now in the Ricmotech Extreme Scoring.info Cup Series here at Auto Club Speedway. GT Hawkins, your race leader. Rich Reimuller in the number 92 Spaceballs, the Camaro Chevrolet. John Sterling in the number 3 in third position right now, up 8 spots from where he had begun. Alan Hilton right now, your biggest mover of the night in that Glory Pole Company number 8 Maestro's Chevrolet Camaro. Jeremy Clifton running in 5th right now on the inside of points leader Bryce Senesac at Auto Club Speedway. Folks, the heat is just getting turned up here in the Ricmotech Extreme Scoring.info Cup Series. I'm Dave Regal here in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth, live from Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. Glad to have you all with us tonight. Make sure that you're tuning into YouTube here on Sim Racing Media's page. Subscribe, turn on those bell notifications, get notified every time we are live on YouTube.com. Joshua, hi, thank you very much. I appreciate the encouragement as this race has gone pretty single file, kind of quiet out here on the asphalt tonight with 9 to go, as Rich Reimuller trying to make it interesting here as he's on the rear bumper of Alan Hilton. And John Sterling finally being challenged here for P2 by Alan Hilton, as now Alan Hilton drafting up just to the rear now. John Sterling still leads Alan Hilton here in the number 8 Maestro's Chevrolet Camaro with just 8 laps to go right now at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. Dave Regal here in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth, live from Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. You're watching the closing laps here on YouTube.com, Sim Racing Media. Make sure that you are subscribed. Joshua Hyatt, like I had said a moment ago, thanks for the encouragement. As speaking of encouragement, looks like Alan Hilton going to need some encouragement as John Sterling is all over the racetrack trying to hold back the 8 car with his number 3 Ford Mustang. Bryce Senesac just about side by side with DJ Weeks as he allows Weeks to get on by. Can't say I blame Senesac as we are here in the closing laps with 6 to go now at Auto Club Speedway. DJ Weeks in the number 97 Chevrolet Camaro now leads Senesac, your points leader, by just about 0.3 of a second. GT Hawkins still your race leader here in the Glory Pole Company. Toyota Camry John Sterling in P2, Alan Hilton in third, Rich Reimuller in the number 92 Spaceballs the Camaro Chevrolet, DJ Weeks running in fifth, Bryce Senesac in fifth, Jeremy Clifton in the Glory Pole Company Maestros Chevrolet running in seventh, Brandon Shirley in eighth, Michael Thwaites in ninth, and rounding out the top 10, Greg Carr, who's just squeaking in here in 12th position on the point standings, now just squeaking in here in your top 10. I mean, things finally starting to heat up here between Senesac and Weeks, as it looks like Senesac trying to hold Weeks off as they have been doing so all night long. Four to go at Auto Club Speedway as Jeremy Clifton and Bryce Senesac going at it hammer and tongs here down the backstretch. GT Hawkins untouchable tonight. John Sterling being challenged now by Alan Hilton. Alan Hilton all over the rear bumper of John Sterling. Looks like Hilton trying to get some kind of window open here, maybe trying to disturb the air on the rear of Sterling at Auto Club Speedway. We are 3 to go here in the Ricmotech ExtremeScoring.info Cup Series. You're watching live on Sim Racing Media on YouTube.com. And folks, this is where it all comes down to. These drivers have prepared for this all night long, and now we're going to see the heat cranked all the way up. Hilton gets to the low side of Sterling. He looks for the open window. Maybe he's looking to dive bomb here. And Sterling still holding Hilton off. Clifton and Senesac side by side here at the line as we are 2 to go at Auto Club Speedway. They're now 3 wide as they get around Clifton Cockrell, the lap car. Cockrell gets out of the way as Senesac and Clifton battling it out down the backstretch. We've got 2 great battles right now. One here for 6th and the other up here for 2nd position. And just as GT Hawkins crosses the start-finish line, the white flag is out here at Auto Club Speedway. GT Hawkins, your race leader, with a 15-second lead. He's almost a non-factor as Sterling and Hilton are at it side by side going into turns 1 and 2. They aren't even close to trying to give up tonight. We can see both of these Chevrolets going at it hammer and tongs as Hilton finally gets a run on Sterling, as Sterling now all over the bumper with his Ford Mustang on Alan Hilton. Now he's just waiting to disturb the air as, it tightens up Sterling and sends him up the track. That's going to give the edge now to Hilton, as Hilton going to exit turn 4 with about a 1/4 of a second between himself and Sterling. We go on back to Jeremy Clifton and Bryce Senesac, who are side by side coming into the tri-oval. They're still side by side as they cross the start-finish line, but Bryce Senesac edging out Jeremy Clifton here at the end of this race. The checkered flag flies, and GT Hawkins, your race winner here in the first round of the playoffs of the Season 14 2022 Ricmotech Cup Series, also sponsored by ExtremeScoring.info. And GT Hawkins, you have earned it. GT Hawkins, your race winner here tonight at Auto Club Speedway in the Ricmotech Cup Series, sponsored by also ExtremeScoring.info. We're going to try to get him here in the broadcast booth. And here we are with our race winner, GT Hawkins, the Columbus, Ohio native with that number 14 Glory Pole Company Toyota Camry. GT Hawkins, Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy, brother? GT Hawkins, Dave Regal in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Buddy, I can't hear your microphone.
All right.
There you are.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Hey, GT Hawkins, the Columbus, Ohio native, look at you with a dominant win here tonight at Auto Club Speedway. How's that feel as now you've punched your ticket to round 2 of the playoffs?
Yeah, that's definitely a comforting feeling. I was a little nervous because I've had some bad luck. So, yeah, good start to the playoffs. I get to have fun next week and not worry so much.
Yeah, definitely a lot less on the stress as, you've punched that ticket. Now maybe next week as you get ready to steam into the heart of Dixieland there in Richmond, Virginia. Short track racing can be frustrating, so as it is, but, now you can kind of lay back a little bit.
Yeah, and I like the short tracks too. So, yeah, I'm excited to get to go race for the win and not have to worry quite as much. But, yeah, I love Richmond, and tonight was a lot of fun. I think I was just the beneficiary of having clean air, just starting on the pole, having clean air there. I think it allowed me to get a little bit of a gap, and then once I broke the draft, then I could just kind of cruise. So I think that was the main factor tonight.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you had said that pre-race as you just went 115 laps with no cautions here at Auto Club Speedway. I mean, that's a feat in and of itself to get through yet another race with no cautions, as we've seen before this season in the Ricmotech Cup Series. But, GT, before we cut you loose here, is there anybody that you need to tip your helmet to for this run tonight?
Yeah, I've got to thank Ed and everybody at Extreme for putting this on. I have a blast racing here. You guys for broadcasting, Glory Pole Company, my teammates at GT Motorsports, Ricmotech for sponsoring, appreciate them, and all my friends, family out there watching. Thanks.
All right, man. Listen, we will see you next week as hopefully by then my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, will be feeling a little bit better. And we'll see you next week at Richmond Raceway.
All right, we'll see you then. Have a good night.
That, of course, was GT Hawkins, your race winner tonight. Currently looking for our runner-up, Mr. Alan Hilton. Let's see if we can find him in Discord. And that's going to bring up Alan Hilton, tonight's runner-up here at Auto Club Speedway. Alan Hilton, Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother?
Dave, I got you, man.
Hey, man, listen, congratulations on the runner-up position tonight. I mean, GT Hawkins was just the side of untouchable. How was that feeling back there? I mean, it's almost like you were just, chasing the wind.
Yeah, man. It was a battle there all night until, my teammates John and Jeremy and I got separated from that mid pack there, and yeah, it was all about clean air. You'd come up on a couple cars, and it would just get you tight and push you up to the wall. But all in all, man, super happy with the finish. Glad to be talking to you after the race here.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get to talk to somebody that you don't always get to talk to after a race, especially when you make it here to that second step on the podium. Next week, we're going short track racing in Richmond, Virginia. How are you feeling about switching over there to that 1 mile, almost a bull ring there in Virginia?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. I haven't ran Richmond in the next gen car, so looking forward to that. It's definitely a grueling race, that short track. Definitely like to go on there, especially in the playoffs. But I'm going to put in some practice this week and see what we can do.
Practice is absolutely key in this stage of the season. I mean, here you are sitting right now as we came into tonight in 11th in the playoff standings. I mean, this is obviously going to be helping your stock there rise in the playoff bracket. So, looks like round 2 is probably a lock for you so far. We'll see what happens after next week at Richmond. But before we cut you loose tonight, who do you need to tip your helmet to for this?
Yeah, man, got to thank my main sponsors, Glory Pole Company, Maestro's Classic Beard Wash, and Throwback Brands. They have the best NASCAR throwback hats you can find on the internet. Thank you to Ricmotech, you guys at Broadcast and Racing Media. It's awesome what you guys do here, and Ed and the guys in the booth or in the lobby that help us out.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations, and we will see you next week in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dave.
And that was Mr. Alan Hilton, tonight's runner-up here, second step on the podium, as we are now going to be chasing down John Sterling, as we're going to send Alan Hilton back down here to the race chat. Stand by, folks. As Alan Hilton heads on out, now we're going to look for John Sterling. John Sterling, Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. Do you got a copy, brother?
Yes, I do.
Hey, man, listen, great podium finish tonight. Love the new paint scheme. Of course, it's still incredibly confusing as I'm trying to say it's a Dodge SRT running around with a Ford chassis. But, man, what a great run tonight for you.
Yeah, the Stuart Haas Dodge Charger did awesome tonight. Been a great week overall, like personally and both on the track, off the track. Just, good things happening at work, and just got a new computer this week. I'm in the playoffs. I decided to debut a new paint scheme, and man, it was a fun race. I'm still like trying to catch my breath from all that. Me and Alan were just battling door to door for the last 10, 20 laps, and I haven't had that much fun in a while.
Yeah, it's always fun when you get to finish up here on the podium. And I mean, I had that same experience Sunday night in a cup race that I was in my league, in the league that I usually run. I mean, you come across that start-finish line, and it feels like you just ran to the start-finish line, all the way around the track. By the time you get there, your hands are tight. I mean, it was a great run. I mean, you're one of only 2 Fords out here on the asphalt tonight. Obviously, I'm assuming that you're hoping that next year there can be some kind of a Mopar performance out here?
Oh yeah, most definitely, because I own a Charger in real life, and we kind of have an inside joke with GT Motorsports that Stuart Haas is eventually going to flip the Dodge, considering he works with Dodge in the drag racing series. So decided to use this paint scheme for the playoffs and have a little fun with it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest secret that's not being kept very well in NASCAR, is we know that Dodge is going to be making its return. Of course, that Mopar power, just key in NASCAR's history. I mean, the hemispherical head, the Petty family. I mean, everything that comes with Dodge. I mean, me personally, I'm excited. I know my normal broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, is excited about it. And speaking of excited, next week we head to the 1 mile short track in Richmond. How are you feeling going into Richmond Raceway next week?
I'll have to see. I'll have to get a few practice runs in. Richmond for me is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes I have a good day, sometimes I don't. It is one of my better short tracks. Like compared to Martinsville, I really haven't figured out Martinsville, but Richmond I tend to have okay success at.
Hey man, trust me, I absolutely get it. Well, for you, it's almost a home track for you. It's obviously you're from Sterling, Virginia, according to your SDK file. So, man, listen, congratulations on this run tonight. Who do you need to thank before we cut you loose?
I'd like to thank the admins, XMS League, Ricmotech for sponsoring the series, you guys for broadcasting, my teammates at GT Motorsports, and of course the sponsor on the car, Stuart Haas Dodge Chargers. Go get one whenever they come out.
Hey, I'm waiting just like you are with bated breath. As soon as it happens in real NASCAR and iRacing gets a hold of that scheme, I'm ready to rock and roll, brother. But John Sterling, thank you very much for the time. We'll get you back down there into the Cup lobby. Actually, I believe I pulled you out of GT. Let's see if I can find where that goes here. And that'll do it for tonight here with another one in the books. 115 green flag laps at Auto Club Speedway. I mean, just an excellent performance yet again by the Ricmotech Cup Series, also sponsored by extremescoring.info. And I can't stress enough how great the software is at Extreme Scoring. You can also check out all of the equipment that Ricmotech offers. I mean, you know, some people, they say that equipment doesn't matter, but when it comes to Ricmotech, equipment is everything. And I highly encourage everybody to head on over there to ricmotech.com. Check out everything that they have going on over there. And speaking of everything that's going on, let's check out the final results for tonight. GT Hawkins, your race winner. Your podium made up of Alan Hilton and John Sterling in second and third position. DJ Weeks finishes in fourth position. Rich Reimuller and rounds out your top five. Bryce Senesac, Jeremy Clifton, Brandon Shirley, Michael Thwaites, and Greg Carr round out the top 10. Wes Gant, David Elliott, Mark Hanna, James Byrne, Clifton Cockrell, Mike Rominger in the number 29 Chevrolet Camaro, Jason Johnson, and Adam Capps round out the 18 cars that took the green flag tonight here at Auto Club Speedway here in beautiful Southern California. Of course, here I am on the East Coast, kind of a rainy couple of days, but it looks like the weather was perfect out here in Auto Club for this race tonight. So, for everyone here at Sim Racing Media, of course, my normal broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, I hope you get well soon, and I'm sure that we'll be talking shortly here. But for everybody here at Sim Racing Media, I'm Dave Regal telling you that tomorrow, as you go through the day, find that one moment, that one good moment, and you hold on to that happy thought, and you fly. Good night, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.